Hey y'all, J-Town here, Infinite Magicraid video, and today I am joined by IvyLee at IvyLeeGaming. Hey, hello Ivy. Ivy is a big time player and community content creator for Raid Shadow Legends. She's been in Gacha games for longer than I have probably, so she's got a lot of experience, and she has recently joined the Infinite Magicraid community, so we're glad to have her picking her brain today. So Ivy, I brought you on today.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Glad to have you. Brought you on because I want to get your take on strategies you employ in Raid Shadow Legends and how they translate into a game like Infinite Magicraid that's got a lot of similarities with, team comps and hero picking and whatnot. So why don't you just take us through how you would make a team with what heroes you got? How would you go about that?
Well, I think it all starts from those first big polls, right? We always talk about who's the best starter. In Raid, they give you a starter champion that actually can push you through campaign, even though they're just a rare or elite in this game. But I think in this game, it's trying to figure out who's going to get you through the PvE content the best, right? That's very much a similarity, I would say.
Okay. All right. So when you're finding that person who's going to get you through that content, what kind of things do you look for in that hero or champion?
I notice it's different in Raid compared to this game. In Raid, I'm just looking for smash, 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 AoE, nothing else matters.
Okay.
Literally. Nothing else. Like an AoE decreased defense and an AoE nuker of some sort. Those two alone can push through most content you need to start grinding in Raid properly. But in this game, it's not quite that simple, I noticed. There seems to be some different values in here. Lots of talk about the damage over time, the dot people, right? That's kind of what you're looking for at the beginning, it seems?
Yeah, that's a great way to start because you need those in later content, so people re-roll to try to get those early, even though they don't necessarily need those really early because you'd have to develop them. But I agree that you need somebody who can AoE and clear the waves, especially by themselves. Like I know in this game you want to rush somebody all the way to max level. Is that the same kind of thing you would do in Raid Shadow Legends if I were to start an account today over there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the first thing is get your starter to level 60. No one else, just one champion, get them to the max star level first. And that seems to be here, right? A5, get someone to A5 first before you start A1ing a bunch of other people.
Oh yeah, so it seems like the base stats are almost more important to get up to that level than whatever skills they could bring together. Because if they're going to get one shot, it doesn't really matter what they could have done, right?
Yeah. That's actually something different I noticed. I mean, every game it seems like the lower tiers, of course, tend to have lower stats. But in this game, rares don't have much value. Elites, right? They don't.
The blues,
their stats
they have
are too
zero
bad.
value outside of the first.
That's so weird
levels.
for me as a raid player. That's so weird for me because so many of the strong champions that can carry you through content are actually rares in raid.
Now the skills they have are actually pretty good, and there's some that I would use, but you actually cannot progress them to the A5 like you can other things. They don't have that ability to do so.
Oh, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Now, what about sustain, like getting through the waves? I know this game has waves in your campaign stages. Raids has waves, from what I remember when I played. How big a concern is it to sustain on that champion, or is it just to kill them before they kill you type mentality?
I think, this seems to be similar to me so far with Raid of having a strong support champion alongside of them. Whether it be a healer, a big shield person. I know there's a lot of love for Liz and Wim for good reason in this game. Strong support characters, just like in Raid, you want that apothecary, even just a little rare healer. He helps.
Or if people were lucky enough to get
a shield. Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, it was BS. All right, sorry to interrupt. So you got your healer.
Oh no, you're good.
You got your shielder, right? Supports. It doesn't have to be like the top tier, and you want to put those right with your AOE nukers at pretty much the same mentality.
Yes, that sort of protection. Like, people in Raid were so lucky they had Ultimate Death Knight for a while as a free champion, which was an amazing shield champion that they gave away for free that was a legendary.
Also a meme,
that was
hilarious.
It was so good. He was so good. I couldn't believe he was a free champion. He works to the end game, so that was kind of nice to have that. And it looks like in this game right now, is Wim considered one of the best shield champions overall, or just basically because he's an epic and easy to build?
Yes, but his shields and the speed you can build him with, you can speed cycle his shields better than almost anyone in the game. Like you've got Nordak as far as one of the best protection. He's as a mythic. Like in the next tier, you've got Wim in there just because he's accessible and he's amazing, and that dude keeps you alive, and his shields are so beefy, and that's all he does. He gives you no value though outside of his shield. So
Okay, and he's in the battle pass right now, so he's free.
Yeah, and he's not all that uncommon to get as a pole. I mean,
I got one already. Yay!
excellent, excellent. And Liz, for the same reason, she can support and cleanse and shield. She doesn't do any one of those things like better than say like Maya or Wim do their things individually, but she's like a whole package put together. So she's one of those top tiers as well.
Nice.
So when you're trying to get through the campaign, you're looking for your AoE farmer. What type of skills, or do you look for, like, say they have some AoE and some single target, or do you want specifically all AoE? Or are you worried about turn cooldowns? Like, how in depth do you get on these champions when you're looking at them? Like, take us through evaluating whether or not that hero has it for you. Like, yes, that could be the farmer.
My raid brain says an AoE A1 is what you're looking for, number one. An AoE A1 makes it easy just to make sure that they're always having that chance to continue. At least in raid, the AI is usually smart enough to just nuke with the A1, boom, use the A1 again, boom, and not use the other skills if it doesn't need to. I know, like, I got an Aisha early, and she has an AoE A1, and she seems like she can smack. She also has an AoE... Oh, sorry, I'm used to saying A1. I know I shouldn't say that in this game because that means Ascension or Awakening.
Well, I still call them A1s, so it's fine.
Do you? Okay.
People get it. People get it.
But she has a couple, so I know you could always turn off. If you're just trying to wave clear, you can turn off the other skill and be able to not waste the single target. So for me, the value of a campaign farmer or someone just for general PvE with non-bosses would be looking for that AoE on an A1, and ideally multiple skills with an AoE, not just one.
Gotcha. So on that topic, let's go in there and look at Aisha, just so we can... Yeah.
Do you find that strong value in this game with your experience so far as well, or not as much?
Not the same way. Like, in my head, I'm thinking of like Bellower, right? He becomes one of the best campaign farmers because he's just got AoE here, next skill AoE. He could always be AoEing. But in this game, you've got things that you can't necessarily one-shot. And A1 multipliers are usually almost not that great. Like, this is 110%. It goes up to 150% to all enemies. And it can deal 30% more if you've exclusived her, but she's a legendary, so it's not probably going to happen very often. That's a chunky one there for a single target, not bad. And then she can be damage immune, so those are good qualities in a carry. Okay, yeah, I would say she's got 2 AoE, so she can be rotating through those, plus a big chunky single and a death immunity passive. Yes, I'd rate her pretty top tier in a carry. That's very good. Now you might have to put her in a leech set for some sustain, right?
Right, lifesteal gear and raid leech in this game, very valuable on that. Whoever's going to farm, especially if they're a squishy attack-based champion, they need to survive somehow.
Right. Now, when the game first came out, there were only half these champions. Literally, there were half these champions. So one of the early ones that I talked about was Holder. Everybody knows Holder by now. This dude's become infamous.
Yeah.
Now, people say, oh, well, this hero is better. Okay, great. You found something better. But this guy's still really good, especially for a carry, just because of, he's only hitting single targets, right? And then he does this AoE here, but he has counterattack. So
right, this game counterattack seems really important.
Yeah, it's almost he turns into a human AoE who just like, if you hit him, he's going to hit you back harder, take your life, and then probably outspeed you. That's why it makes him so good. He literally soloed all the campaign for me and up to stage 19 in a lot of dungeons. I mean, any hero in this game that can solo to 19 in a dungeon,
that sounds impressive,
is kind of bonkers. No, I don't care if you found something better. He can still do that. That's nuts.
Yeah. On that note, though, counterattack, I think one really big difference with this game compared to Raid and all the other gacha games I played so far is the turn count limit is so low. So if you don't pump out enough damage, you kind of rely on counterattack to not count as a turn, so you can actually kill everyone.
Oh,
and that's
100%.
An interesting thing that I didn't realize when I started playing the value of that at all. And now I'm like, crap, I feel like I want to restart my whole account all over again.
Yeah, so if you haven't played through the campaign, you have a lot of stages where you got to get 3 stars. And you need those stars for your auto drop rewards, right? Well, there's a turn limit of 100. If you don't make that turn limit, you automatically can't get the 3rd star. So you want all those things that like are a turn that don't count as a turn. Counterattack applies, which when you get to Catherine in your campaign quest, this lovely lady right here, she's arguably the best hero in the entire game. It's a lot like getting Arbiter in Raid, I think it was. she gives everybody counterattack, and then all that problem goes away. You no longer have the problem of like, oh, it took me too many turns, because you're getting metric crap tons of extra turns.
That's great. It's so funny. In Raid, counterattack would be annoying in most content because we don't have 4 times speed. You don't have multi-battles that you can minimize and check back in later. So if you throw a Valkyrie with counterattack on everybody, the run's going to take 3 times as long because everyone's going through their extra animations. And that's like the last thing you'd want in Raid. But we also have like 1,500 turn limits for the turn counters, so it's not an issue.
Which
it's a different mentality that makes me have to shift a lot of my thinking now.
Yeah, which actually goes into my next point with the counterattacks and Valkyrie. I was lucky enough to have had a Valkyrie back when I played. The guild boss in this game, you're limited to 20 turns. On the 20th turn when it starts, the boss will wipe you regardless. So it's kind of cool. You have to get, as much damage as you can inside of 20 turns. But coming from Raid, to where the boss really doesn't die, and you can go like basically infinite, and you have those counterattacks. And I've seen some of those videos where people have like 20-minute long guild clan boss fights. Like,
oh, that's short compared to the fights now.
Holy God! So how do you
There are people doing like hour-long clan boss keys with these infinity comps where they get like 1 billion damage. It's literally over 1 billion now.
Oh. Jeez. All right.
So it's insane.
On that note, how would you apply your strategies dealing with a clan boss or guild boss there versus coming into here? Like, how would that translate?
I feel like they're completely the opposite. And in Raid, you want to build people super, super tanky so you can survive as long as possible. But in this, you just want to pump out as much damage as fast as possible. I do think they have a similarity, though, in, I think, damage over time effects. Do they still scale pretty well with Guild Boss?
Yeah.
Like in Raid, HP poisons are king.
Like your HP burn is based off the boss's damage, but then there's bonus damage based on your own HP, plus your mastery and any perks you might have. So that still scales pretty well.
Okay.
If you got like a Melia and a Hazanja combination, they're pretty much going to just, you're going to burn the hell out of it.
But are you avoiding even bothering with healing and support, or are there any point of Guild Boss where you actually need that? I have not done any high-level Guild Boss.
For Guild Boss 1 and 2, you absolutely do not need it at all. And then by the time you get into 3 and 4, hopefully you're progressed enough to you have a champion that does a little bit of that. Like Catherine alone pretty much does that. She throws a shield and the counterattack up there. Space, you get her for free. She does a little bit of healing. You don't need a whole lot. Unless you just have absolutely garbage stats or you're just, a little weaker on that, you absolutely do not need it. I went ahead and put the purple horn aura, the recovery horn aura on Catherine, so she's also now healing the party. And I have never even come close to dying, and this is Guild Boss 4. So
I love that about this game compared to Raid. The ability to choose your aura for your characters, that's nuts to me. Like, you're kind of stuck with whatever you got in Raid. You don't have the option to really fine-tune a team to that extent. It's pretty powerful, I think.
Oh, some of these auras are absolutely amazing, but it takes a lot of investment in the faction abyss to get to where you can do those.
Okay.
Is there anything in Raid that even translates to that, or is that completely new to you?
Blessings, yeah, maybe that's about it. In Raid, we have a new thing called Awakening with the Iron Twins as a boss, and there's something called Blessings. So that's like, it's kind of like adding another passive skill or another skill to someone, whether it be like some sort of crowd control or increasing damage or just extra damage, or they're kind of quirky. They're really quirky. But that's about the only thing where you can really customize every character to be completely different, in a sense, besides just whatever they're stuck with.
Gotcha. And you think it's as customizable as these auras, where you can actually make them do different things, like be a party healer or just get more speed on themselves, or...
No, this game is way more customizable as far as that goes, because in Raid, there's only so many blessings. If you're a rare champion, you're limited to only the rares. Epics can have epic and rare, legendary can have legendary, epic, and rare blessings, and there's only like 6 in each category overall right now anyway, and there's like 3 categories, so it's like, there's like, oh, you can choose from these 6 things as if you're a rare champion. It's not like that exciting, and it's kind of it's limited. It's really just, if you're attack-based damage dealer, you can do extra attack, or it's kind of Or oh, if you you have a chance to proc to turn someone into a sheep. That's funny. I like that one.
Whoa, that sounds pretty cool.
That's
Polymorph.
cute, but yeah, polymorph, exactly. That's what it's called, polymorph. And there's an extra brimstone blessing where you can just do extra, just big hit damage. There's lots of conditional stuff, but it's not as big of a selection, really. And it's not like, if you're not already a healer, then the healing ones don't affect you. Where in this game, you can like make things happen if that's not really your kit, right?
Gotcha. Okay. Now, the last point that I really want to talk about, and it could almost have its own discussion on its own, is people always say, well, who's my best carry? Who should I get to? Obviously, the goal is to not always need a carry. Like, you want to get to the point where nobody's carrying your team because now your team is full of badasses. Is the point in this game where you get there, I don't know if you've arrived there yet, but compared to Raid, how do you transition off of that, this is my carry, to now this is my team? You know, does that carry translate into a good team partner? Or
Right. I think that's very similar in that mentality of like, yes, you're going to first need that person to get you through to be at a farm, whatever. But then once you can farm certain levels, or you're trying to speed up runs or specialize and push farther into content, you're looking for a well-balanced team for each specific like dungeon, each specific part of the game, arena, different team, not using the same one person relying on for everything. But that just takes time and getting characters, and I feel like that grind might be a little bit harder in this game than Raid because it is so hard to get people maxed out. In Raid, you can get characters to level 60 in just a few minutes by just some grinding and some potions and some brews, and it's not that hard to get like a whole team instantly leveled once you get really going.
no,
That's one of the big differences. So I think it's easier in Raid to diversify your team comps and kind of stray away from having one person be the star of the show.
now that's awesome, because that also ties in with the food shortage. Like, there's a definite lack of food in this game to level up heroes to a usable level, whereas in Raid, like you just said, you could do that almost instantly. So you're more limited. Like, I've got team comps in here I want to try, but I can't.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, what's your opinion on, do you think that by getting your heroes that you've already summoned up to a usable level, do you think that that's just like pushing you into endgame, getting something you haven't earned yet? Or should you, when you summon them, be able to, within a reasonable amount of time, get them up to just 150? Because in my opinion, the real building is the skills, because you have to grind for skill scrolls and you still have to get them gear, and find those team comps. So what's your thoughts on, should the leveling be slow just for their levels, or should it be a little faster?
I mean, Raid's also guilty of having a skill book shortage, for sure.
That's fair.
So I'm kind of used to that. I think it's a really hard topic. Personally, I've said this before. I think people rush too fast to try to get to the end game instantly. It's like, I just started playing. I want to be end game in a month and clear every dungeon at level max within a month. Mm-hmm. Slow down. Slow down. I don't understand that mentality of I must get to the end game as fast as possible. I mean, of course we want to push content, but I don't think that has to, like, people want to, like, 1 week of play and I have a max team and I'm doing the top dungeon. Like, how? Why? I don't even think that should be possible, personally.
Right.
I'm very against that mentality, because then I'm like, of course people are going to get bored in a game where I need more content, I've done it all. Well, yeah, because you just flew through it all in 2 seconds, so what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get bored.
Yeah.
So I think they need to find a balance, right? It's like making the whales happy that want to go, 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 but also not overwhelming a new player. And that's, I think, the true... Like, I came into this game, I saw everything, and I was like, nope, I'm not playing this game. Absolutely will not have time for this game. There's too much going on. I'm out. But I came back, and I tested it, and I was like, actually, it's not as bad as I thought. But it overwhelmed me at first, and that scared me as a new player. So I think... I don't know what they got to do for a balance. I don't know.
Yeah, I got to find it, because I feel like that is already balanced out as far as, like, you can't rush it unless you super, super mega well because of the towers. Like, you need a shield stripper, which are not that common in each of the 4 marks, right? So you can get one, but then it's like, okay, I still haven't had the resources to build my shield stripper of this other color, and I still have a way long time to go before I can build it of that other color. It's not like you're instantly going to get there, because one team cannot do everything in this game at all. Not even close.
Right.
Like, even with your faction abyss, like, you're going to need 20 teams or 10 teams of 5, however many. Let's go in there and take a look. to get to where the actual end game is, to where you have all the the legendary auras and whatnot, right? 10 factions. You're going to need a team of 5 in each one of these, because the majority of players in their factions, in their best faction, is probably right around this age, in the early 20s. It goes all the way to 30. So I feel like the challenge is there. So that's going to be 50.
That's time
50 different A5s you're going to need at one point. Now that could be down the road, but I mean, like I have right now in my roster.
Yeah, that should definitely take time. That shouldn't be something that's that easy to do. That sounds like a long-term end game goal, not
4,
a
5, 6, 7, 8,
finish it
9.
at least. Is there a reward for that? You know how in Raid the faction wars, there's Lydia at the end of it all.
Yes, there actually is. That's a great comparison. Let's go take a look at that. It's one of the most coveted rewards that a lot of people don't even realize exists, because it's so far over here. Where is she at? She is a beauty.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's free.
Agatha.
Okay.
Yeah, she's freaking cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. And that's the only way you can possibly get her. And just like Catherine, you can't use legendary eyes on her. You have to have copies of her to get the exclusive on her. So you have to just keep climbing.
Oh, so you get copies of her as you keep going. All right. I didn't look that deep into that yet.
These 5-star eggs, these,
Ooh.
So this is like way down the line.
That's the end game.
Like I've been pushing hard, and I've got 10 A5s, and I've spent some in this game. But that is like going to be, unless I start spending a bunch or something changes, probably another 2 years. Like that's a long ass time ahead of us. So do you feel like it's that way in Raid with their faction towers or dungeons or crypts or whatever they were?
Probably not quite as bad. I mean, I played Raid for over 3 years, so. But I definitely, it took me a while to get Lydia, but it also wasn't a thing when I first started playing at all. It wasn't even a thing. And they've added more factions. So, I definitely think there's a long end game in Raid, but I think it's probably more like a year you could do everything for the most part versus they're always adding more, like with the different Doom Tower rotations, and with the Hydra clan boss is a lot harder. But I think it's just so much easier to get people to max level 60s. You might not be able to skill book them, but once you get there and you get better gear and can farm, you can at least start doing clan boss where you get skill books as rewards, I guess. But
no, that's a fair point, because that's my goal for this game as well. Like I would like to be able to just have all the heroes that I actually have already summoned at Awaken 5, not necessarily fully skilled. Like I want to be able to grind for the gear and grind for the skills. Like there's no skills in them, but at least they're at usable levels. Like, and that's all that I want for this game. All right, so
the hard part is
go ahead.
It's not just this has exclusives which require dupes of that character. That's a whole nother level of beyond the awakenings, right? Yeah. I guess the food feels similar in the sense of, you need a X amount of 2 stars to 3 stars, 3 stars to 4 stars, 4 stars to 5 stars. And so I guess that doesn't seem weird to me, but the fact that you need to keep putting extra people into a champion once they're already there are 5-star, now you need a whole bunch more to make them awaken 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. The food grind is definitely worse. Yeah, like
let's go down here and find 5 any blues, or like this guy right here, he would require 5 more other 4 stars. But if I go, let me back out.
That makes sense to me. That's okay, but it's once they get to level 5 or what I would say, a level 60, an Awaken 1 equivalent or something. It kind of sucks that they take so many to keep going again and again. And then you need their dupe for the exclusive.
In Raid, you only need 2 2s and then 3 3s and then 3 and 4 4s. It makes sense mathematically, and it doesn't start over and go up again. So that's my only real major complaint here, that I think Raid really does it better. Now, the last thing that I will leave you on, as far as we're talking about how long it takes you to get through a lot of that content that's already in the game, not talking about content they may add later. As far as longevity and player retention, how do you think this game stacks up to what it looks like now with the way Raid has done it? Where Raid has kept players for years and years. Like what do you think this game does right, or does it need to change on to have that same, that same longevity?
I think Raid is borderline, though. Honestly, I think Raid is bad in the sense they I don't know that they care about player retention, honestly. You say that, but I don't think they care.
Gosh, well, it's been 3
everything
years.
they do
They've lasted
everything
longer
they
than
do is
many.
pushing though. They're always pushing for new players. Everything they do is geared toward new players. And when they put out end game content, usually it pisses off the community, not excites them, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
I don't know. I feel like we're constantly losing end game players, but that's expected, of course. Everyone gets bored eventually or moves on to something else. But unfortunately, they used to not listen at all to the community. And when people said we really need this changed or you're going to lose us, they didn't listen at all. But they've gotten better. They actually genuinely have gotten better. So they're improving.
Okay.
And that's why some long-term people like me are still there. I think this game does seem to be doing good with its communication with content creators and the community in the sense of the dev feedback. I like that. They're trying to answer frequently asked questions or be honest. Like, I know this is something, but sorry, we're not working on that yet. I think communication is key. And I think they need to not be vague. If people are like, we need to fix this problem, and you're like, yeah, we're working on it, or like, soon. Don't be soon, Shadow Legends. Like,
yes.
if they do that kind of stuff, like, I know it's gonna be an issue. And I know everyone has been complaining about the food situation, about how expensive it is to get dragon eggs, and I hope they need to listen. If people are complaining this early in a game that's an issue, then they're not going to keep people if they don't fix an issue like that.
Yeah.
I think if it's such a strong majority of players that, I don't want to say endgame players, because is anyone truly super endgame in this game? It's only been out a month and a half.
There's a couple of like ultra super mega whales that could have bought your and I's houses over 6 times in.
Yeah.
That are pretty close. There's still a few things left to do, but yeah, on the whole, nobody's even close. Like, I play hard. Yeah. I'm not even close. I don't think any of the other actual content creators are even close. So
yeah, I think that's it though. I think it's if they are able to just listen to the content creators, listen to the feedback, and actually improve it. We're looking out for the interest of the game too, because we like the game. That's why we're playing it.
Yeah,
we're not just complaining because we want to complain. You complain because you care.
Yeah, as content creators, you have that responsibility where you're like in the middle. Like, I want you to make money and succeed because I want new content because I love this game. But at the same time, I need a bunch of other people to want to pay and play the game. Otherwise, there's no game for me to play or make content on. So I gotta ride the fence. You know?
Yeah. So far, I think I like the balance in this game overall. As far as I saw a lot that overwhelmed me, but then once I play, the way that they do things, it's not time consuming. They give us quality of life features that makes the gameplay pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they have a good balance of that. Because Raid just gets more and more and more and more and more time consuming, and they're never addressing that issue of this game takes too long to play. I can't handle it anymore. Mm-hmm. That's why people quit more than anything. Is like they keep adding more things and then you can't keep up. But then the end game players complain that there's no content, so they have to add more things. It's like you can't win either way.
That's fair. That's fair.
I hope this game just fixing little things that could become big things like food issues and stuff.
Yeah, the one thing I appreciate about this game is that you can play all of the things you need to do in 30 minutes a day if you wanted. Or if you got the resources and you're team building, you're grinding some stuff out, you can play for 2, 3, 4 hours. You know, if you got events going on, if you're going through your gear and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of hits both of those. It doesn't really, oh my gosh, I don't have time to play Infinite Magicraid, said nobody ever.
Right.
You know, so that's really good. Overall, I like the game. It's more fun to me than Raid. You know, I left Raid for all the reasons that you have said, you know, but Infinite Magicraid has a lot of great potential. And so far, I'm really, really loving it, you know. And I think the numbers are showing that. I mean, we got 1 million pre-registers. There's 100K people in the Discord, you know, for the first month. That's pretty good.
I agree.
Well, Ivy, it's been great having you. It's great to pick your brain, your perspective on a long-term gacha player on another similar game, to see how those things translate here, compare, contrast. It's just been a great conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you more as we continue on. If you've not followed IvyLeeGaming, the description below has her channel, her link over there. You're not going to regret doing that. She's a wonderful person to talk to. She'll give you her tips and her insights. Just a lovely time. So make sure you check her out. I've been J-Town. That's Ivy Lee. We'll see you in game.